endless opportunities for the cancel enthusiast. I feel cancels do bring a stamp to life and tell us a little bit about it. Serbia, 4 well-placed different cancels. How much better can it be? Well, if the stamp paper quality was as good as the cancel quality, we may not have some of these perforation irregularities as is visible in these pictures. And here are a few examples of worldwide cancels. We have on the left 2 pack-a-boat cancels, meaning these stamps were canceled on board a ship before the mail was delivered in the port of arrival. Over here, the yellow stamp is a nice British Guyana airmail circular date cancel. Very nice. And a couple of more nice circular date cancels, as well as different designs of numeral cancels, and a couple, instead of a numeral, they have letters. Very interesting and different. And some more of different configurations. In the upper left, we have a ZAR abbreviated for Zuid Afrikaan Republic, the Afrikaan language in abbreviation, standing for South African Republic. And next to it, another Transvaal stamp with a registration marking used as a cancel. Then we have a nice grit cancel on this Canadian stamp, a rectangular cancel on this Kida stamp with what looks like an Asian character, which so far I have not been able to decipher, and a various amount of different circular date cancels, and one of my favorites on this British stamp, a nice crown cancel, almost complete and very crisp, really nice. I don't see too many of these. This Ceylon stamp has a inscribed G. This, in all likelihood, is the sender's or owner's initial, used as a security marking, as he would hand the stamp affixed envelope to the postal clerk for cancellation and then transportation. A security marking because I guess over there many stamps that were affixed to envelopes were peeled off and then reused. Then Australian states, we have also various different configurations which make this area also extremely interesting to collect in regards to cancels. We have 2 totally different New South Wales cancels in a killer format and in a circular format. Very interesting, very nice. And here we have one New South Wales stamp and one from Queensland. And both have slightly different, what we refer to as starburst cancellations. Well, probably quite obvious why it's called that. And here on the yellow New Zealand stamp, we are looking at a probably machine cancel. And now we are into Belgium. The upper left stamp, a Belgian railroad stamp, does have an actual railroad cancellation. It is 6-sided. The stamp next to it, the cancel is 8-sided. Well, that is of the telegraph type. And a telegraph cancel on a railroad stamp, in this case, is of slightly lesser value than the railroad cancel. Also, we have 6 other normally used railroad cancels in slightly different configurations. And they're treated just like the first railroad cancel when it comes to catalog value. But there are some exceptions because there are many more different variations of cancels used on railroad stamps. And then we have 2 nice circular date cancels, well applied, very readable, one on a Belgian stamp and one on a Belgian Congo stamp. And a few more Belgian stamps. Railroad stamps again, 2 of them up here with circular date cancels. Well, these circular date cancels are postal cancels. And these postal cancels do actually have a slightly higher valuation than the previously mentioned cancels. These 2 railroad stamps with colored cancels are very interesting and truly not very easy to find. The violet on this stamp and the red on the red stamp. Unusual, but that's how it is. I can only assume, since I do not have an actual reference, that colored cancels are in all likelihood of better value. So be careful. If you have them, save them. Then we have some more nice placed circular date cancels, a couple of numeral cancels, and finally one more railroad cancel on a railroad stamp. So Belgium has good opportunity for many cancels for the cancel enthusiast. And many of these stamps are typically inexpensive, and even on a small budget, you can assemble a very lovely cancel collection. Turkey on the left. This particular circular date cancel in 1890 is all in French from the city of Constantinople. This was not unusual, and so I am not sure if there's any premium for such a cancel. The 5 centime sage type cancel in the middle from France proper does have a red circular date cancel, which I have described before as having a slight premium. Now, these premiums do vary again in regards to what stamp they're on. And the same applies to the paid cancel of the US stamp. Again, prices vary regards to on what stamp they're applied to. So they can be very cheap, but they can also be quite pricey. And Italy. Nicely placed circular date cancel on the right as a military usage in the year 1936 in Somalia. And here we have a pair of Libya stamps, Italian colony. and that this shows the whole circular date cancel, but only because the pair was not separated. So if you have multiples, please don't take them apart, even if they do not fit properly into your album. Leave them together as to show the whole cancellation. And one more nice example of a circular date cancel on an Italian stamp. Here we have France and area. I apologize for the not so good conditioned and not very good looking stamps, but for demonstration purposes, sometimes we are restricted in what we can show to make our points. So these two basic inexpensive French stamps were actually used in Algeria. The puzzle here is the additional 2. I have no idea, except just a hunch. Perhaps it is a carrier number. If anyone out there can educate me on this one, I would certainly appreciate that. Thank you so much. The Madagascar stamp does also have a very nice blue circular date cancel, but the date has a little curiosity here because the year date is upside down, the 4 right here, and also it lacks the typically preceding 0 of 04, 1904. So quite a little bit of variation and of interest. And here we have a bunch more French stamps primarily, with very well and nicely applied, predominantly standard circular date cancels. When we come to this 5 centime Sage stamp with the PP cancel, that creates a little puzzle. The blow up here on the right, a little easier to see perhaps. The PP cancel I am only familiar with is the ones of French offices in Morocco. They were 2 postage due stamps converted through an overprint to regular stamps and then additionally hand stamped with a PP cancel. These 2 Moroccan stamps are very rare and pricey, consequently. The purpose of this PP hand stamp on this regular French stamp is unknown to me. Here too, I could use some help in identifying the purpose of this particular stamp, or was it of normal usage? That's the only one I ever found, so I am not sure. So I need your help. Thank you so much again. The 2 centime below, on the right here, was affixed to blank newspaper pages, or I should say the cover page. And when the printing process was in progress, that at that point canceled the stamp with wherever it was located on the page, and it would get part of the printing on it, which then in turn canceled it. And then back to the left, these two numeral cancels in the small circle. I also do not have a reference, and I assume they may be of rural use, perhaps. The anchor cancel, the anchor itself is kind of upside down in this particular cancel, is similar to like a CPOS cancel, and it does have a slight premium, as does the red cancel on this 1 centime stamp. Here another puzzle, 10/8 in a small rectangle. I am not sure the significance or the meaning of this cancel either. The one next to it, RF, abbreviated for République Française, French Republic, as part of a larger flag cancel. I would have liked to have this in a multiple, maybe a block of 4, to show the complete cancel, or on cover even better. Also, the one to the right of this is one I do not have a real clue on that. Is it just a differently configured normal usage circular date cancel, or does this one have some meaning? I am not sure. The Strasbourg cancel on the left is slightly damaged with a rounded corner, various short curves, and the only reason I have it here is to show that it does have actually a blue cancel. Stamps of this lesser quality I don't wish to have in my cancel collection. And then we go into numeral cancels, and as we can see, we have quite a few different configurations. For example, large numerals with large dots. Here one with a couple of lines additionally, because in all likelihood it's a 2-digit number, and just to not confuse people in regards that they might think if the lines weren't there that maybe a digit or 2 was missing. That's my feeling anyways. And then we have a large numeral cancel here, but this one with small dots. Then we have small dots with small numbers, and back to large numbers with small dots. So there are quite a few different versions here, but I know that's not all of it. So very interesting just alone with the numeral cancels. These 4 stamps obviously were pen canceled. Now they do look a little ugly this way. However, I feel they also belong into a cancel collection, because at certain times in some areas this is how they did it. Perhaps they didn't have a canceller yet, maybe a small village, or perhaps of different purposes. Maybe they were fiscally used. Anyways, they do belong, I feel, in a cancel collection. And then a couple of stamps here, a pair from Madagascar with a nice blue, kind of dark blue circular date, and another black circular date from both Indochina and Tunisia. And here we have an assortment of more worldwide postmarks. Here on this Chile airmail pair, we have a nice Chile circular date airmail cancel. And again, because they were not separated, we have the full cancel. So please preserve our hobby in not taking things apart, like separating a pair or a block of 4 or whatever, or margins. Keep everything intact as it is. I think that is doing a good big favor to the hobby and to those that follow us to pursue this hobby. Here we have a nice kind of a killer grit cancel on the Mexican stamp. Then we have kind of an oval Mexican cancel, a Franco cancel with the two words La Esperanza. This translates to the hope, and I am not totally sure what that means in regards to this particular cancel. And more of Latin America, different configurations. This particular one here on the right, the Colombia stamp, I believe this is a security marking. Also, I feel that way because in part there is a circular date cancel to the right of it here. This one is kind of interesting on the left with a nice little star configuration in a kind of a negative circle. And this one really gets me because the stamp and the cancel really do fit together, don't they? Here we have an envelope on a stamp. Normally it's the other way around, the stamp on the envelope. So I find this one really interesting and a clever design, I feel. The one, in all likelihood, is probably the postal facility. Here we have another numeral cancel, a straight liner. Here's a numeral cancel, a little different, because the numeral is a Roman numeral. And a few others, star killer cancel on a Spanish stamp that's kind of very pale. On a pair of Spanish stamps, we have a registration cancel. Again, if it was separated, we could not probably make out the whole thing. The configuration of this cancel probably has a name. I have no idea what that name might be. I wished I did. And on another Spanish stamp, we have a totally differently configured numeral cancel. And next to it, again, a pair to show the whole cancel. A numeral cancel of totally different design, quite large, in sort of an oval from Portuguese Angola. And numerous other nice cancels, straight liners, numerals. Again, look how important it is to keep your multiples together. Don't they look nice when you have all of the cancel? And here, even on very inexpensive stamps, such as this one, on piece, a nicely placed cancel certainly is very attractive in a cancel collection. And finally, we have some different types of postmarks from Germany. The one on the upper left is from Upper Silesia, nice circular date, cancel. And the next one over, Memo, and another one from Danzig, Free City of Danzig, as it says on the bottom. And then we have a rectangular 3-line postmark from the German Empire, and a few more circular date cancels. Here on this Germania stamp, this one is in red. It's lightly applied, so I'm not sure if you can see it well enough or not. And here, this particular cancel of the general government is of a commemorative type. This one celebrates the 5 years of the general government. And nicely applied circular date cancels again. Here's another nice one from the German state of Hanover. Also, this one is in blue. A nice Prussian numeral cancel. North German Confederation single line cancel of the city of Emden. This one is actually complete on there. And a nice circular date cancel, especially on this yellow Thurn and Thaxis stamp. So cancels definitely are interesting. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but I feel a nice cancel collection is nice to look at and also educational. Well, I hope you liked this video and give me a thumbs up and hopefully subscribe to my other videos. I would certainly appreciate that, and thank you so very much for watching. And yes, cancels could turn a rather inexpensive stamp also into a little treasure. It always depends of the type of cancel and where the cancel was applied and for how long. So be careful, look them over closely, and keep them until you're completely satisfied if you must get rid of them. So be observant and check them out closely. These days on the computer, we can find locations quite readily. So it may take a little time, but it may definitely, or could be definitely, you're worthwhile to do that. My channel, stamps, space, my fun things.